For many years, the world's been torn apart by a brutal war, humanoids blessed by the god of light fighting to survive against demons born from the god of darkness. After endless bloodshed, a group of heroes finally makes it to the demon lord's castle, hoping to end this madness once and for all. But the road there wasn't easy, and right outside the throne room, they get ambushed. Theron steps up and tells Kyle and Urza to push forward while he holds the demon off. They nod, knowing damn well he's not walking away from that fight. They reach the throne room, and before Kyle can take a breath, he's hit from above. Spheres of dark matter rain down hard. He blocks what he can, but there's too many. Urza jumps in without hesitation, shielding him with her own body. She takes the full blast and vanishes, disintegrated right in front of him. That's when the demon lord shows up, stepping out like he's been waiting for this moment. Kyle's blood boils, and he charges in full of rage. The demon lord fires off more dark matter attacks. Kyle ducks behind a pillar, barely dodging the spell. Just seeing what it did has him shook. That move's called Elimination, a high-tier spell that erases whatever it touches. There's no blocking it. Kyle knows he's screwed if he doesn't pull something crazy. His only shot is to release every ounce of power stored in the magic gem on his sword. Problem is, it could kill him too. But this ain't about staying safe anymore, so he lets it rip, surging forward with everything he's got. The power boost is enough. Kyle slams the blade straight through the demon lord's chest and takes him out for good. But his sword shatters in the process, and he's left barely standing, body torn to pieces. He saved the world, sure, but what's left of it for him? Everyone he cared about is gone. His friends, his family, even the home he swore to protect. Victory never felt this damn empty. Not long after, Kyle hits the ground from his injuries, and honestly, he's at peace with it. With nothing left tying him to this world, he figures this is how it ends. But out of nowhere, the demon lord's magic gem starts glowing again, its energy building up fast. With nobody left to keep it in check, it's about to blow. And if that happens, the whole damn world's done. Kyle drags himself forward, barely breathing, and the moment he lays a hand on it, a blinding light shoots out and swallows him whole. Next thing he knows, he's back in his childhood bed. Everything looks way too familiar, and it's messing with his head. He climbs out of bed slow, walks over to the window, thinking maybe he's just dreaming. But when he looks out, there it is, his hometown, untouched. The same place he saw burn down with his own eyes. That sight hits him hard, and for a second, he can't hold back the tears. After everything he's seen, he still can't wrap his head around it being real. Then his old friend Lise barges in looking for him, and the second he spots her, he locks up. She can tell something's off and tries to check on him, but he says nothing. He still thinks this is all in his head, but he doesn't care. He just hugs her like he's never letting go. Lise blushes, caught off guard, asking what he thinks he's doing, but Kyle's lost in the moment. She tries to pull back, but he holds on tight, and they both trip and land on the bed. Now he's right on top of her, and the air between them shifts quick. Kyle's emotions are spinning out, and it feels like he's about to cross a line. But right now, the two of them aren't anything more than childhood friends. Lisa's shock turns to fire, and she punches him hard enough to send him flying across the bed. He groans in pain while she yells at him for acting wild with no warning. She doesn't know what's gotten into him today, and she's usually not this mad, especially since she likes him too. But she's not about to let something like that slide without a heads up. Lise storms out, slamming the door behind her, and Kyle's left sitting there, trying to make sense of what just happened. While he's still processing everything, it hits him her punch didn't feel like some dream. It hurt like hell. That alone's enough to tell him this might not be some weird illusion. It could be real. He pulls off the covers, still confused, and right there, lying next to him, is the demon lord's magic gem. The sight of it makes his stomach twist, because now there's no doubt about it. This isn't a dream. He stumbles over to the mirror to get a good look at himself, and damn, he looks way younger than he should. Last thing he remembers, he was half dead after fighting the demon lord, bleeding out and ready to give up, but now he's standing here, totally fine. His body's healed, his hometown looks untouched, and Lisa's alive. Piece by piece, everything's lining up in his head, and he figures this has to be the past somehow. That gem must have done it, but how the hell a spell that powerful even exists is beyond him. He knows the demon lord had ridiculous strength, but this is next level. His stomach growls hard enough to snap him out of his thoughts, so he heads down to grab something to eat. Walking into the kitchen, he spots a full meal laid out on the table, and right away, he knows Lise made it before leaving. She used to do this all the time back when he and his mom were always busy. and seeing it now hits him in the chest. He pulls up a chair, grabs a bowl, and takes a bite, and for the first time in years, he tastes something real. Nothing like the battlefield rations he used to choke down while hiding in the dirt. A few minutes later, Theron comes down looking for food too. But as soon as he sees all the empty dishes, his face drops. Kyle didn't leave him a single bite, even drained the whole damn pot of stew. Theron starts whining, pissed off that everything's gone, but Kyle's mind is somewhere else. Not long ago, they were out there fighting side by side, pushing through hell together, and now they're back in this quiet kitchen like nothing ever happened. Theron gave his life for the mission, and now here he is again, alive and hungry. Nothing about this makes sense, and yet it's all real. Theron notices Kyle staring at him a little too hard, so he turns around, raising an eyebrow, and asks what the hell is up. That snaps Kyle back to reality, and he brushes it off, saying he's fine. But deep down, his mind's still racing. He doesn't even know what year this is, so he asks Theron straight up what today's date is. Theron's a bit thrown off, kinda weird question out of nowhere, but he shrugs and says it's the 24th of May, 2823. Kyle freezes. That date hits him like a truck. He double checks with Theron, asking if he's sure about it, and Theron says damn right he is. He even adds that today's Kyle's birthday, so he's cutting him some slack for hogging all the food. Not that he's any less hungry though. He jokes that he'll go beg Lise for leftovers, probably drop to his knees if he has to. Pride means nothing to that guy when his stomach's empty. Kyle stays behind in the kitchen, tuning out the rest of Theron's rambling. If this really is the year 2823, then there's no more doubt he's back in the past. But now comes the hard part, figuring out what to do with that. First step, he needs answers, and the only person he knows who might have some is his mom. He heads out to the old shed and slips down into the underground library. And when he spots her buried in a stack of books, a wave of emotion hits him hard. She looks just like he remembered, but all he can think about is how brutally she died in the timeline he left behind. She looks up, surprised to see him down here this early. Kyle tells her it's already morning, and that she's probably been reading all night again. She apologizes with a sheepish smile, but Kyle shakes his head that's not why he came. He tells her he's got a question about magic theory. She perks up right away. As one of the few archmages left in the country, this kind of thing is her bread and butter. She sets her book down and tells him to go ahead. Kyle takes a breath and asks if there are any spells that can send someone back in time. That makes her pause for a second. Then she says time magic does exist, but barely anyone knows much about it. Kyle's eyes widen. He's been around a lot of magic, but never heard of this. She explains that while the theory's real, actually using a time spell is another story. The magic needed is beyond anything a living mage could ever pull off. Even the most powerful sorcerer in history, at the peak of their strength, would be lucky to jump back a second. Kyle asks if it might be possible to jump back years in time using a magic item. His mom pauses, thinks it over, then admits that in theory, if the item could store enough magical energy, it might be doable. But that'd take over 1,000 years of steady buildup. And to her, it sounds completely unrealistic. Kyle follows up, asking if the forbidden rite could make it possible. And the second she hears that, her tone shifts. She cuts him off with a sharp look, clearly more concerned with how the hell he even knows about that spell. He quickly covers it up, saying he just read about it in some dusty old book, and he'd never be crazy enough to try it himself. She sighs in relief, but explains why the question spooked her. The forbidden rite isn't a joke. It lets someone exchange life force for magical power, real dangerous stuff. Even if someone did use it, she still doubts they'd pull off real-time magic with it. You'd need to burn through half the humanoid lives on the continent to get enough juice. As far as she's concerned, no one could do something that evil. Besides, even if they did, there's no known object in the world capable of holding that much magic power. Though, if anything like that ever existed, it'd probably be in this book somewhere. She starts flipping through a thick old tome, eyes scanning page after page. Then she stops and points to an entry. It's about the heart of a divine dragon. According to the book, the ancient kingdom of Zarls thrived for thousands of years using the energy stored inside that gem. But once the gem's power ran out, the kingdom collapsed and faded into legend. She believes if any artifact could handle the energy needed for time travel, it'd be that dragon heart. Problem is, it vanished over a millennium ago. Odds are, it's in the hands of the demons by now. Kyle starts connecting the dots in his head. It makes sense now. The gem the demon lord had, the one that brought him back, it must have been the dragon's heart. His mom, on the other hand, shifts to a softer tone. says it's been nice having this kind of talk with him again. She thought maybe he was avoiding her lately. Kyle feels a little guilty but tells her it wasn't intentional. She brushes it off, says she's just glad he came by, and that something about him feels a little more grown up today. She remembers Lee saying she'd swing by to cook something for them, so she smiles and asks Kyle if he wants to head upstairs and eat. Of course he did. Kyle mentions he already ate everything, and the second those words leave his mouth, the warm motherly glow in her eyes fades for just a moment. She pulls it back together quick and says it's fine since it's his birthday, but forget about getting a present now. That conversation gave Kyle exactly what he needed: confirmation. This gem he's holding is no ordinary thing. It's the divine dragon's heart, and he's starting to realize the demon lord must have planted the spell in it long ago to rewind time. What Kyle still can't wrap his head around is why that bastard would even want to go back. As he's piecing things together, Lee shows up, and the second he spots her, Kyle rushes to apologize for what went down earlier. He tells her it was all because of this terrible nightmare, and when she asks what kind of dream it was, he admits it showed her dying. That explains the sudden hug, and Lise gets it now. She gives him a smile, says it wasn't his fault, and lets it slide. But that smile, it hits Kyle in the gut, reminding him exactly what's at stake. Their village sits right next to demon territory. Once the invasion kicks off, they'll be the first to fall. Kyle watched it burn once before. He saw Lise die in the middle of that chaos. That day, he swore he'd make the demons pay. Yet here she is now, alive, standing right in front of him like none of it ever happened. Lise glances at him and asks what's wrong since he suddenly clammed up. But Kyle's head is spinning. If he doesn't act fast, 3 years from now he'll lose her all over again. He refuses to let that happen. No way is he letting history repeat itself. So right then and there, Kyle promises himself no matter what it takes, he's going to change the future and protect the ones he loves. Thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, it makes all the difference.